Alright, g'day, hi and welcome. I'm just gonna, oh, sorry, welcome, rail can, guitar. Alright. Some of you said that you thought that was cool. You're probably getting old now. Bass endurance. Okay. I'm gonna just play a little noodle here that I'm working on. Okay, I'm spit. That's it. I'm done. There's the whole gig. Now I don't have any energy left to play the rest of the gig, so I'm just going to stay on the root note with one finger for the rest of the night. Okay, so let's say you're going to do your first gig. Okay. Now, as a guy that hasn't done a gig with a bass yet, but has been on stage probably about 500 times, give or take over the years, with guitars and stuff like that. Even a guitar, like my 8-string there, that thing, you got to play that for a while before you can play that for 3 hours straight. Acoustic guitars are notorious. Guys are like, they get their first gig and they play an acoustic guitar, for example. I got a 12-string over there and a 6-string. And the first set, after about 45 minutes, their hands are starting to get tired. Like, what's going on? I know how to play. I know all the songs, but they don't practice the whole set. They only practice 15 minutes at a time, whatever. So in my last video, I was talking about like dividing up your practices. That you only need to probably practice about 15 minutes a day, really, to get good, even as a beginner. Like, as long as you're practicing active stuff, different skills, and honing those skills, and then over time everything just starts flowing natural. So I'm not a very good bass player in my own eyes at all, because I haven't been doing it long enough. So I know that, okay, if I want to become a good bass player within, say, like a year of having this thing, I'm gonna have to work on this technique, this technique, this technique, this technique, this technique, right from the get-go. Now, if I want to play a gig, am I gig ready? I'm not gig ready. Can I play a gig? Yeah, I don't need all those techniques to play the gig. If I'm playing just keep it nice and easy for the first gig, right? But what I don't have is the 3-hour endurance to play a bass with hands or a pick. A lot of people think, well, I'll just play the pick for 3 hours and I'll be fine. Just do that. As an inexperienced bass player, after about 5 minutes of doing that, your hand's shot. So this isn't the cheat you think it's going to be. It's easier to mute, right? So that's one less technique that you have to worry about. And if it's open strings, your hand gets a rest, but that doesn't. And then okay, do that for 5 minutes. And if your hands get tired, you're not ready for a whatever, you're going to find out very fast that you can't maintain that kind of intensity early on. It might take you 6 months to a year to be ready to do a gig for a new player. An experienced player that's already got hands stretched out and fingers stretched out from playing guitar forever and a day, you still have to build up that endurance for these big heavy strings. And the only thing I would do there's only one remedy there really is only one remedy to building that endurance, and that's pushing your limits without hurting yourself. And you, hear me out here. So first off, we're going to assume that your base, doesn't matter if it's as cheap as this base or whatever, is well set up, and it doesn't matter where you play on the neck or how sloppy you play. You can play it anywhere, okay? We're assuming you can do that with just staying on root notes kind of thing. Never mind chords right now. Chords come later. So we're assuming that you got a bass that's is going to play as good as it's going to play, right? Now what you got to do, okay, you and your band, you're going to go jam, you're going to get your songs down, okay, maybe you jam an hour at a time, whatever. Plan a full 3-hour non-stop set, right? One big super concert kind of thing in your garage or whatever, and play that. Don't stop. Even if you're sloppy and by the second set, whatever, you can't, you barely get through, push yourself through it. Don't hurt if your hands are hurting, then you got to take a break. If your hands are bleeding, if your thumbs bleed, I got very tough hands because I'm a laborer, right? So, plus my calluses are built up from the guitars and stuff like that, and playing 12-string. So mandolins, whatever, I have no problem there. But there's still just the intensity of holding down, and then the fingers, right? Building up that. Like if I had to do that, if I had to run around like that on the bass the whole night, wow, that'd be pretty intense. So that takes a while, but the best way is just to actually go through the whole set list until you can do it full 3 hours. So first do an hour, play it as best you can, then try the full 3 hours. Okay, by the time you get halfway through the second set, you're just winded and you have to actually literally take a nap. You will find your very first gig is probably going to be like that, where you're going to probably want to take a nap after after the first 45 minutes. So learn how to pace yourself. How am I doing for time here? This thing. I've still got lots of time here. So learn how to pace yourself, right? But learn how to build your endurance. And even if you're not with the band, like let's say okay, on a regular, if you're like me, you get up in the morning before work, you grab the bass and you just and off to work. Literally just enough to touch it, right? Whatever. So you're not going to get any endurance on that, but just a little bit of a motivation for the day. And then you're thinking about your instruments all day, and you get home, like I am now, and I start playing around, noodling, maybe record something, whatever. Play around with it for 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever. Okay, fine. You're learning, trying different techniques. Okay, fine. But then get your song list in front of you at one point, whenever you can get the time. If you can only do an hour, do an hour. For only 45 minutes, do 45 minutes. And do that, right? Because that will help you to get through that first 3 hours. Because why 3 hours? Well, 3 hours is typically the length of a gig. It's 3 sets, right? So 3 either 45-minute sets with a 15-minute break in between, or it's like an hour set with a 10-minute break in between, whatever the venue is going to do. But if you can do 3 hours in a row, you got nothing to worry about. Because a lot of times what happens is where you lose your wind is in between the first set and the second set. So usually somewhere in the early or middle of the second set is right where you start losing all your wind, because you're not used to playing that long. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot to get there, to get that endurance, especially with the bass. So don't think that this is the cheat code, because trust me, you'll be dropping your pick because your wrist's going to hurt and stuff like that. Learning proper, like that, I can... losing a little bit sloppy there, but you get the idea. I'm not really hurting my hand there because you see I'm not moving it very much. See how I got, that's a guitar technique with the pick, right? So, even with the stick pick, do that for 3 hours. So that's the kind of intensity that you're going to have to move up to at some point, right? Once you can do that for 3 hours and it doesn't hurt your hands to do it, you know, push as far as you can. So that's just my tip for your first gig kind of thing as a bass player. For me, I'm probably not going to be anywhere lucky enough to have to play something that high energy. Maybe I'll get lucky, find a metal band, but chances are I'll probably be in a country band going something like that. Whatever, okay? That's still going to tire you out by the second set. Guarantee, maybe even by the end of the first set. That's pretty busy. It doesn't sound busy. First song, second song, third song, 12 songs in, 10 to 12 songs in a set, maybe 15, depending on how short the songs are. Yeah, it will tire you out. And a lot of people don't know that's coming. So they get on stage and they're like, yeah, practice, we sound really good in the band, but they kept taking breaks and they didn't realize that you have to push the whole way through. And I'm telling you,